Hi, welcome to the largest gathering of thought leaders, seasoned professionals, strategists in the aviation industry. It's the third edition of the FAAN National Aviation Conference. My name is Jogbaba. Welcome to Mamaj TV. As you can see, I'm right here at the Eco Hotels Pension Center. See, there are people right here registering for the conference. Well, like I always say, everybody cannot be here. That is why Mamaj Aviation TV is here to bring you the sights and sound from this conference. This is going to be a two-day event and it's packed with powerful speakers who are going to be kickstarting conversations around how we can attract investment opportunities in this industry and innovative ideas that will move this industry from where it is to where it ought to be. We're looking forward to thought-provoking discussions, intellectually stimulating discussions at this conference. I invite you to come with me as we join them for this conference.
Airport Council International.
It's an honor. Please join the picture representing the DGAPSI.
The Regional Director of the National Association Organization West Africa, West and Central Africa in here. You join them on stage. The representative of all His Excellencies, all the state governments here, please join them on stage.
We have just about 30 more seconds to take this picture because His Excellency the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is represented by the Secretary Government of the Federation, will be leading the exhibition and declaring the conference officially open. We need to do that very quickly. So all representatives of state governments, please join this family photo very quickly. Thank you very much.
The representative of MD Nama, MD Naimite,
Mr. Allen Wilima, Chairman MPs, please join Mr. Professor Okonkwo, Chairman of the United Nigeria Airlines, please join the pictures.
DGNCA, please. DGNSIB, MD Nama, Rector and Your President, DG, CEO of SACO, please join them. SACO, please join them.
No way.
Defense staff, the representative of the Director General of DSS, Mr. Dakwamo, who is Director of Security Enforcement, to please join them as well.
As you have small heads, the
giving, then those promoters of that group should be able to balance you for the rest. It doesn't happen only in Nigeria. It also happens in some other parts of Europe because airline we do say is an enabler, and those places need to be connected, those people need to be connected, but they don't have the economic or population to make that viable for the operators. So we, the local operators here, are ready for such strategic relationships. Some of them already existing within the Nigeria, and for African leaders who may be listening, if they call upon us, we can make any destination a priority if the figures are worked out. But again, I repeat, we are private sector. We don't have any support from the government. We don't have a grant. We don't have a single-digit loan. We get our loans from the commercial market. The same rate it takes somebody who is importing BBM equipment or BBM material or Indian hair. That's the same market we go and source for our commercial loans. So we have to be very, very calculative so that our banks will not have any reason to worry about us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I don't want to talk too much specifically about that topic because we've got other things to cover. But one of the things that I see when we do analysis is this thing called, QSI analysis. Each time a new airline enters into an existing route, if the route is not growing in terms of passengers, all you're doing is sharing the same number of passengers between you. So it makes something which was viable turn into something which is no longer very economically viable. But that's all I'll say there, and I'll leave that thought with you. But I want to turn to Mr. Muradov, and we've heard a couple of times secondary airports be mentioned, and obviously that's been a big benefit of the single European aviation market. And I want to ask you, as KLM, Air France, because you've got obviously deep European experience, if there are any lessons that can inform Africa's approach.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Main lesson from single Europe market is it was a long process to reach that goal. So in Africa it should be a phased step-by-step approach to deregulation, to liberalization of aviation market. And from my point of view, it requires investment first in airport aviation infrastructure, because it will.
Then we have to understand what that understand. That means that we can grow that again, that we don't have enough capacity to make the airport profitable. Enough. That airport is still on that side. That connectivity is still on that side. And we have now the one that we can say that they are the underserved, and we have another third category, that the one that, let me see here, the third category that we do have, that is the one that are served about that can cope, and the potential is there. And with regard to Nigeria, we fall into all these categories. But we are not doing badly. Nigeria is doing not domestic good. International, we still have many connectivity that are lacking. And the easy way for you to know that is that you have some airlines that are flying to some other countries, but they're not flying to Nigeria. For example, Singapore Airlines does not fly to Nigeria, but they fly to Africa. You go to South Africa, you find them there. And you go to some other, for example, Cathay Pacific, other one. But in Nigeria, that shows that you can still grow. So Nigeria is not doing badly. We will commend and also the free freedom from the SATA that we are putting into also operationalizing is also helping. That is positive, but we still have a long way to go. Many a time we come to our airport, it's empty. Go to Abuja airport, for example, during the day you find a lot of counters empty. So those are signals that our connectivity has not reached the level we want. We want to be at the airport where at almost all the time in the day you have all the counters being served, being used. Then you know that your connectivity is. Once you go to an airport and you see at the particular time of the day, most of the airport is empty. Very few airlines are taking it. That is a signal to you that you still have a long way to go. We can still go the other way. We can still improve, but we are not doing it.
Thank you very much for that. And I'm glad you introduced the topic of airlines, because quite often in aviation we're talking about aviation as if it excludes airlines, and they're, as far as I'm concerned, central to the issue that we're trying to resolve here in terms of connectivity. I make this joke, quite often airports don't connect Africa, airlines do. So moving over to Professor Okonkwo. Given what has been said by Arthur, are Nigerian airlines currently serving the African markets where real demand exists, or is there a gap between opportunity and actual networks?
Not just our competitive advantage in terms of population and numbers, but we are also at a strategic location geographically for not just Africa as a continent, but for the whole world. And I'd like us to think about Nigeria supporting travel within the continent, but also Nigeria supporting travel from Africa to the world. So, here we are, looking at some of those issues that we need to deal with. Now, next slide, we begin to look at what the real opportunity for Nigeria is. And this is the single African air transport market. For those who may not know, it is the first flagship project of the African Union for integration of the African continent. And so it is no mistake that aviation is the first, and the second closely followed with the African Continental Free Trade Area. These two initiatives are fundamental, not just to Africa, but to Nigeria's social and economic transformation.
Hello, Doctor. It's always nice to have you on our show.
It's always a pleasure to be on your show. The coverage is always reaches global audiences. So the opportunity to speak here is more of my pleasure than it is yours.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Doctor, this is the third edition of this conference. What do you have to say about this conference?
I think the organization is exceptional. It's a very beautiful conference, well organized, well attended. The presidency was represented. State governments that have a significant impact on aviation are present. The president spoke about the need for investment, and I took some notes. I think what caught my particular attention was that the government stated, which is the right thing to do, that they're putting the necessary policies in place, the necessary configurations in terms of what assets are available for investment, as well as assets potentially for development, etc. But I think that what caught my attention was they said that's the policy. And so is this the right time to be asking for investments prior to those policies being established? So it's good to have these conversations about what's to follow, what's to come, but I think it's actually the wrong time to try to invite money to the potential opportunities that are in the sector.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Dr. Kingsley Wokoma, you're welcome to Mamaj TV.
Yes, there can only be one Mamaj, only one Mamaj, right? Nice to be here, Mamaj.
Thank you. Please, I want you to tell us, how do you think we can attract investment opportunity?
Well, like I say all the time, world standard is key. If we want to attract investment opportunities, right, even in aviation, we have to play the way other players play in the big league. That means we must have a climate that is very, very super friendly, so that when people come in, right, they know that yes, they can invest here, and investing here is as good as investing in other climes, so that they don't have all those bottlenecks that have been killing us. People have been complaining a lot about multiple taxes. People have been complaining about the ease of doing business. So there are a lot of things we really need to put in place. If we want to play in the big league, if we want to play in the upper skies, we must be ready to fly high, and do things the way it should be done. It's easy if the conditions are good. People come and invest, and like I keep saying, playing in the big league, you need to be ready to fly and be part of that big league.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Nice having you on our show.
Yeah.
Doctor, welcome to Mamaj.
Hello,
TV.
Mamaj. Thank you so
How
much.
have you been? Nice to see you again.
One day at a time. Always, 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 Mamaj. What can we do without you?
You're welcome. So, Tayo, how do you think we can attract investment opportunities into this industry? How do we make the industry enabling enough for investors to want to come and invest?
I think first thing is the realization that no nation can thrive all by itself. Now, it's a global economy now, and you know that a lot of times where you have your strength or even weakness is somebody else's strength. So, and investors are not charitable organizations. They don't do something for CSR. They are doing it for profitability. And so I think it starts first from the realization of the fact that we need investors, but also making it attractive enough for them to want to come. What you're making difficult, some other nations are saying, oh, come, we do this for you. Nigeria is not insulated. We're not going to be different from the others. So we want investors to come, show them the reason why they should come. The government is doing a lot at the macro level. The effects, the foreign exchange is becoming more stable, and so in our sector, that is one problem solved. So the other thing is now, like, how do you encourage them? Provide the policies that will encourage them. The Minister of Aviation has tried with the implementation of the Cape Town Convention, so people might be more comfortable to bring in the aircraft on dry lists now, as shown by the recent one by Airpace, So at the macro level, things are happening. So at the micro level, we also need to show, so if you're going to invest, we give you land, and maybe Akure Airport, and you're not going to pay maybe whatever charges for the first 2 years so that you can settle it. That will be an attraction for a flying school, for instance, who wants to bring that train into Lagos. So as the macro is doing, the micro needs to also look at what can I do to improve or to bring in those people, especially at those B airports that are not very, it's not your regular Abuja or Kano or Port Harcourt. So I think those are the things you'll be looking and thinking first like a business than just a government entity, because private guys are contesting for attention. So also government entities need to contest for attention by providing the palliatives, the enabling environment, and the enabling sometimes just too grandiose in terms of almost a buzzword now. But you need to be specific about things you get. You come, we give you this tax holiday, we give you free land, we give you office spaces and stuff like that. Those are the things that we encourage them to come. Because aviation is very capital intensive. So what will make me bring that amount of money, I must have guarantees that I can get my money, I can have my money repatriated on time, I have support from the government, from the organization, from the government, and policy will not be shifting to the point that I cannot even see what's going to be happening to my business in 2 years. So these are the things that we need to actually tie together to encourage investors to come into our country.
Thank you very much, Tayo. Thank you. You're welcome to Mamaj TV.
Thank you.
So, sir, I have one question to ask. How to attract investment opportunities into the aviation industry? As a professional in this industry, how do you think we can achieve this? And what kind of innovative strategies can we implement to transform this industry?
Yes, it's quite commendable that the focus is on that. At the Aviation Roundtable, we have held sessions where we advocated the use of public-private partnership in birthing aviation infrastructure, human capital development, and several other capital-intensive things that will enhance aviation. Its growth in Nigeria. And for them now to put it on the front burner is something we applaud, because when you partner with the PPP exposes you to latest technologies, innovation ideas, and capital, private capital, which is critically required to grow the industry. So for us,
they are on the right track. Public-private partnership is the way to go, because government doesn't always have all the funds that it requires to manifest even the best of intentions. And for now, at Aviation Roundtable, we have had cause to commend the present administration in its efforts to create a conducive atmosphere that we still think should be done. We should have an aviation development bank that will handle the issue of capital, loans and all at a deliberately reasonable rate that will enable the institution to thrive. Government should also do more in terms of sovereign guarantee. Reach out to monies beyond the economy. You have funds in the African Development Bank that there is a sort of segment, funds for aviation development. Nigeria could tap into that. Also, Afrexim is there. So opening up is quite good. Partnership is quite good. Conducive atmosphere is what we are seeing, and that's where the issue of an aviation development bank and doing all that will make the atmosphere conducive. Then don't forget, you will have to insist on good corporate governance practices and public sector too. And all we are talking about there is accountability, transparency, and responsibility. So if all those are done, they would have done a good job.
Thank you very much. Well, this is where we come to the end of today's show. We need to continuously have conferences like this where we can bring together leaders, seasoned professionals in the industry to share ideas, innovative ideas, and transformative ideas on how to move the industry from where it is to where it ought to be. Because if we must attract investment opportunities into the aviation industry in Nigeria, then we need to continuously have conversations as we have had in this conference. It should not just stop with conversations, we also need to walk the talk. Our take home from this conference will not just end without it being utilized to improve on the industry. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Mamaj TV. See you again soon. Bye.